What's up, Highlands families? This is Kenny back with another episode of Family Mojo. Now, coming up with this whole segment to connect with you about family and student and kid stuff, especially here connected to Highlands Church. Mojo. I was flipping through like some articles and stuff like that, and Mojo popped up, and I kind of held on to it. And so when we had to put this together, I thought, well, that would be kind of cool, because here's the honest truth. There's no mojo. There's no magic in building relationships with our kids. You know what it is? It's consistency. It's intentionality. And so for us, that's what we want to bring. We want to partner with you so that we can help you, because I need help too. Deb and I need help just as much as you. Bring some intentionality and consistency to our parenting skills and our family environment and atmosphere. So here's something that I want to talk about real briefly this week. What are the rules in your house? And not only that, do you let your kids participate in formulating them? And like immediately you're going like, Kenny, you're nuts. Why would I do that? They're 10. I want to punch them in their throat like every other day. They don't have any kind of history in really helping me communicate how they should be disciplined. Plus, they would probably make it too light. Well, here's the deal. I used to agree with every single thing that I just said. Deb and I would, because again, ready? Where do we get most of this stuff from? Our childhood, how our parents parented us. And, I, love my dad and love my mom, and, they were okay parents, but they weren't perfect. And, here's a little bit of insight. Neither are you, and neither am I, neither is Deb. We're just trying to figure this out. And so this is, again, it's one of those things that we've, as we've journeyed through life and raised 6 kids and, had 8 kids from foster care live with us, and just youth ministry and kids ministry. Like, this is just a way that we can kind of pass on some of the tips that we've either like really done really good at, or we still suck at it. We're still struggling with it, and we just need the accountability. So when we talk about rules and disciplining our kids, it was never an option. I would never in a million years think that I should invite any one of my kids to have a conversation about what the rules or what the consequences should be when they broke certain rules. And through our time and through our travels, Deb and I came across this concept of inviting your kids into helping set some of the rules, and more importantly, helping them set the consequences for the rules. And here's why. When we allow and invite our kids into some of these consequences, and again, if they're younger, you can help steer the conversation, make some really good suggestions, and then later on, they'll learn from that, and then they'll actually be, individuals participating in these conversations with their own opinions. And again, in middle school and high school, our kids have a lot of opinions. But inviting them in, you know what it does? It gives them ownership. Like, this isn't you dictating, the rules and consequences. It's like, hey, so we're having an issue with A. So how do we get through this? What are the guidelines? What are the guardrails that we set up so that I can help you not do A, or get through this, or not struggle with this, or whatever it is? When kids feel like they're invited into or students feel like they're invited into the conversation, it gives them ownership. Don't we all want that? Like, we don't want things dictated and told, us told what we should do and shouldn't do. Like, I get it. There's certain situations where that has to take place. But for the most part and largely, like, we can invite our students and kids into these conversations and give them ownership, like I said. Now, as we dig into this, there's kind of 3 areas that I want to kind of focus on in this kind of rules, discipline, inviting kids into the conversation. First one is this: connected consequences. Now, think about this, and I'm guilty, so I'm just going to share. I'm let you know. I'll be the first one to raise my hands. Your kids in the living room, they want to watch TV. One of them is in control because they're probably older. They're dictating what's being watched on TV. A younger one comes over, wants to watch something. They can't, so they get mad, take the remote control, and throw it across the room. That's never happened to you, right? Well, if it hasn't, just you wait. And so what do we do in that situation? It's like you're grounded for 30 days, or I'm going to take the Legos away, or whatever. Connected consequences is this. And here's another scenario. Let's say one of my kids, my guy, he's playing on his Xbox and there's a time limit. And we go, hey, Makai, I think that, what's important for you is that you limit your time on your Xbox, because we don't want you to, mold or melt into the seat and become one with, all the wires and chairs and stuff like that. And plus, it's not good. You need to get outside. So what would be a reasonable amount of time on your Xbox? I guarantee you, you have that conversation, your kid's going to look at you like you're nuts. But he gets buy-in. And so Makai goes, well, okay, Dad, I mean, okay, this is really weird, but I think this amount of time, would be fair. Well, if your kid comes back and goes, I think, 8 hours on Xbox, is fair, then you have the right, the authority to go, well, I think that's a little high. And so there's this kind of negotiating process, but they're involved in it. They're a part of it. And so you reach a, fair, and whatever it is in your household, let's just say 4 hours. 4 hours a day, especially because it's during summer, that's a fair thing. And so let's say, we go to bed and, I get up because I want a glass of water, and there's, a light coming on from, wherever you have your, Xbox or PlayStation. We're an Xbox family, and the light's on, and, your son or daughter is playing it, and, then it's like, whoa, hold on. We said that it was only 4 hours, and you did your 4 hours today, and now you're on it again. So there has to be some consequences. Well, if you go back to the conversation about, okay, I think when you agreed upon the 4 hours, you can also set the discipline. What will happen if that doesn't happen? And so during that conversation where you've invited your student, your whatever kid into this conversation about rules and consequences, you can also go, hey, okay, so 4 hours. So let's just say this. If you don't adhere to that, what would be a consequence? And they have to participate in it. And not only that, they have to agree to it. So when the rule is broken, the consequence is already set up. It's genius. It's genius. And so the connected consequence would be this. There's no Xbox for the next week. You take whatever the rule was broken with, whatever device or whatever, TV, something happens to the TV, you take the TV away. Xbox, you take the Xbox away. Social media, you take the social media, the phone away, whatever. Just make sure that the consequence is connected to with the rule that they broke. Make sense? It will. Try it. Okay. Scenario number 2. And I'm pretty sure this doesn't happen at your house either. But it's happened from time to time in our house. Throwing fits. Let's just be honest. Like, even adults, we throw fits too. When we want something and we don't get our way, we throw a fit. Okay. Everyone kind of does it. You've done it, you're doing it, or you will do it. I mean, that's just kind of it. But throwing fits is, it's going to be something that happens, in your household. And so how do you approach it? Well, here's one way. Set up a rule. Hey, we don't throw fits to get what we want. Period. End quote. If you communicate to your kids that rule, say, hey, and before a fit happens, let's prepare them, let's prep them, right? So, hey, I just want you guys to know, we're going to talk about, okay, little Sammy had a little fit, whatever. Hey, we don't throw fits to get what we want. That's the rule. Hey, guys, can you say that with me? And let your kids kind of audibly recite that back to you. So when a fit is taking place, all you do is go, time out. And here's the one thing Deb and I had to kind of overcome. We're still working on it. Yelling. You don't have to yell. We're really trying not to yell at our kids when they make us angry or upset. Because we don't have to. We're the mom, we're the dad. All we have to do is communicate what's going on and what's going to take place, and that's it. I would say super simple because it's not that simple, but it's pretty effective, and it would be better for you because you'll lose your voice and stuff like that and probably have to apologize. But for them too, they're not like traumatized or anything, you know, you're not like flying off the handle and they're like, oh my gosh. But anyways, so you have them participate in repeating the rule. So you're at the dinner table. Little Sammy, and we'll just use the word Sammy. Little Sammy wants more Kool-Aid. That's what we used to drink at our house. But it's too late and he's already had a glass. And he starts throwing a fit. And you just say this, time out, little Sammy. What's the rule? We don't throw fits to get what we want. Could you repeat that? And you're involving him. Again, it's buy-in. They already know the rule. You're just actually diffusing the situation by having them participate in it. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. Doesn't make a difference. You want them to. You want them to get to a place where it's diffused, they're reciting the rule, and then they have a choice to make. They can adhere to the rule or continue to throw a fit. At that time, who cares? If they want to continue to throw a fit, and this was a big thing for me to get over because let me tell you something. My grandmother raised me, and she was this big old white lady from Indiana, and she grew up on a farm, and fits were just not allowed in our house. What I'm going to tell you is contrary to everything I grew up, was taught, and believed in. But it makes sense. If your kid wants to continue to have a fit, guess what? Let them. In their room, on their bed. Shut the door. Have at it. Go back in. Have them recite the rule again with you. We don't throw fits to get what we want, right? And whatever they wanted, you already know. It's immediately off the table. There's no way that they are going to get what they wanted. That's us being consistent in our disciplining our kids. So just know that if they throw a fit and they're not going to get it, you don't give it to them. Repeat the rule, have them repeat it. They continue to throw a fit. They go to the bedroom. They can have a fit on their bed. You shut the door, and everyone can go back to what they're doing until little Sammy is ready to repeat the rule, calm down, and understand that we don't throw a fit to get what we want. Sometimes the parent knows best. Most of the time, the parent knows best. And there's a reason why that, Sammy couldn't have that extra glass of Kool-Aid. Let them know the why. Invite them into that. It's going to take time. It's not going to change overnight. But what we are doing and what it's being intentional about, equipping our kids to understand that throwing fits is not cool and there's a consequence. And guess what? I'm not going to lose my cool. Here's the last one. Here's the third one. Third little jammy that I want to talk to you guys about. Contracts and agreements. Crazy, right? Kenny, you're talking about, sitting my 3-year-old down and having them sign a contract or an agreement. No, maybe 3 is too young. But there is an age, where your kids are learning to write and they can write, first grade, where you can sit them down and actually invite them into formulating a contract or some agreements, putting some rules down on a piece of paper. You read it, they read it, and then at the end of it, you can agree to it and you can sign it. You can put it up on your refrigerator, you can take a picture of it and keep a digital copy on it and, save it in your photos on your device, your phone, your iPad, your laptop, your computer, where it's readily and easily, you can get to it. So that when a rule is broken, you can go back to it and go, hey, we'll just say Sammy, hey, little Sammy, remember when we did this? Like, me, you, and daddy, mommy, we all sat down, we put these rules together, and we said, okay, we agreed to it, and maybe this is the consequence for some of those, and, at the end of it, we said, okay, we shook hands, we gave high fives, and we signed it. Like, you agreed to it. Crazy. Where are they going to go? They can't get out of it. They agreed to it. Now, there might be some debate, and rebuttals, but that's kind of not what it's all about. It was about inviting them into the space where you talked about rules and consequences. You went over them. They were a part of it. They had buy-in, and you both signed in to agree to it. And so, again, ready? Accountability is a great thing to teach our kids at an early age, because now there's a piece of paper, there's a document that holds them accountable. You could get creative, you know, you could videotape it. You can do a video, you could do a rap song, I don't know. But make sure that you're doing something to invite your kids into this whole concept of rules and consequences and a contract or an agreement. It may seem formal, but it's kind of cool and it's right there and you can always go back to it. There's some cool websites that I'll list below that have like contracts for like teenagers, right? Cell phone contracts, social media contracts. And these are things that people have already thought out. All you have to do is download it, present it, maybe tweak it a little bit, you know, but at least you have something that you can go to help you out in helping your kids out understand rules, consequences, agreements, sticking to what, you know, the agreement is, and accountability. And again, it holds not only your kids accountable, but it holds us as parents accountable too. Because what we want in the end is to be consistent with what we're saying, and not only what we're saying, but how we're implementing what we're saying. So, hey, hopefully this helps you guys out, because this has been things that have helped Deb and I out along the last 25 years of raising not only our kids, but other kids as well. Hopefully it helps you. Hopefully you can implement some of these things. Check out below in the description for those web pages you can go to get some of those contracts or agreements, and let me know how it goes. You know, what are some of the ways you let your kids get involved in making rules around the house? How do you do it? And if you want to, you can comment below and let's just kind of create a conversation about what are some better or best practices about doing this, because it's so important. Thanks again for joining, guys. Hopefully see you next week.